Ancient China, a civilization known for its incredible innovations, profound philosophy, and cultural advancements, also harbored a darker side. The legal system, deeply rooted in Confucianism and legalism, was designed to maintain order and authority, often at the cost of humanity. This system enforced obedience through severe, sometimes barbaric punishments, which were meticulously crafted to instill fear and ensure that lawbreakers were examples to all. This video explores 10 of the most horrific punishments that were a reality for those who dared to defy the laws of ancient China. 1. Lingchi death by 1,000 cuts. Lingchi, perhaps the most infamous of all Chinese punishments, was reserved for the most heinous crimes such as treason or patricide. The condemned person would be tied to a wooden frame, and the executioner would proceed to slice off pieces of flesh from the body, often beginning with the limbs and moving toward the torso. Each cut was made to prolong agony, both physically and psychologically. The process could last for hours or even days, depending on the executioner's skill. The goal was not just to kill, but to torment the soul, as it was believed that a body mutilated in such a way could not be whole in the afterlife. 2. 5 punishments, wuxing. The 5 punishments, an ancient legal code, prescribed a series of brutal punishments for various crimes. These included tattooing the face of the criminal, mo, cutting off the nose, yai, amputation of feet, yai yue, castration, gong, and finally, death, da pi. The severity of these punishments reflected the gravity of the crime, with each mutilation permanently marking the individual as a criminal and outcast. These punishments were not just a means of enforcing the law, but a method of shaming and degrading the person in the eyes of society. 3. Zhan Pai skinning. Alive. Skinning alive was a method of execution that left an indelible mark on Chinese history. Often used for those accused of high treason, the condemned would have their skin meticulously removed while still alive. The process was excruciatingly painful, and death was slow. In some instances, the skin would be displayed publicly as a warning to others. This form of punishment was not only a gruesome way to die, but also served as a powerful deterrent against rebellion or betrayal. 4. Zhu execution of the entire family. In ancient China, the concept of collective responsibility extended beyond the individual to their entire family. If someone was found guilty of a severe crime, such as treason, not only would they be executed, but their entire family, including children and sometimes distant relatives, would also be put to death. This punishment, known as zhu, was designed to eradicate the offender's lineage and deter others from even contemplating such crimes. It was a chilling reminder that one person's actions could lead to the destruction of an entire family line. 5. Slow slicing, chengjiang. Another form of prolonged torture, slow slicing, involved cutting the body into pieces slowly over time, ensuring the victim remained conscious for as long as possible. The executioner would carefully slice the victim, often beginning with the fingers and toes before moving to the limbs and torso. This punishment was particularly feared because of its sheer brutality and the torment it inflicted not only on the body, but also on the mind, as the condemned was forced to endure the anticipation of each agonizing cut. 6. Boiling alive zhuang. Boiling alive was a punishment reserved for severe crimes like murder or betrayal. The condemned would be placed into a large cauldron filled with water, which was then gradually heated. The slow rise in temperature meant the victim would experience excruciating pain as their skin blistered and their body slowly cooked. This method was not only an execution, but also a form of torture, as the suffering could be prolonged for hours. The sight and sound of someone being boiled alive served as a horrifying deterrent to would-be criminals. 7. Waist chop yaojian. The waist chop was a method of execution where the condemned would be sliced in half at the waist. This gruesome punishment was often used for those who committed particularly heinous crimes. The execution was designed to be as painful and terrifying as possible, with the victim often remaining conscious for several minutes after the initial cut. The waist chop was not just about death, it was about the spectacle, ensuring that those who witnessed it would be reminded of the power of the state and the consequences of disobedience. Make sure to subscribe for more interesting stories. 8. Bamboo torture. Bamboo, a symbol of resilience and strength in Chinese culture, was ironically used as a tool of torture. Bamboo torture involved the use of young bamboo shoots, which grow rapidly and with great strength. The condemned would be tied down over a bed of these shoots, and as the bamboo grew, it would pierce the victim's body, causing intense pain and eventually leading to death. This method was both slow and excruciating, as the bamboo would grow inches each day, gradually impaling the person. The use of nature itself as a weapon highlighted the ingenuity and cruelty of ancient Chinese punishments. 9. Execution by hanging cage. Kanzhong. The hanging cage was a form of punishment where the condemned was placed inside a small suspended cage, often left to die of exposure, starvation, or dehydration. This punishment was particularly cruel as it combined physical torment with psychological anguish. The victim was left in a public place where they would be mocked and humiliated by passers-by, all while slowly succumbing to death. The cage was often hung high enough that the person could not touch the ground, adding to their discomfort and suffering. 10. Pillory mu jia. The pillory was a device used to publicly humiliate and physically restrain offenders. The condemned would have their head and hands locked into a wooden frame, often placed in a busy marketplace or town square. While not as lethal as other punishments, the pillory was a form of social death. The individual would be subject to the scorn, mockery, and sometimes physical abuse of the crowd. This form of punishment was designed to disgrace the offender, stripping them of their dignity and status within the community. The punishments of ancient China reflect a society that was deeply concerned with maintaining order and authority, often at the cost of compassion. These brutal methods were not just about enforcing the law, they were about instilling fear, ensuring compliance, and upholding the power of the ruling class. As we look back on these practices, it is a stark reminder of the lengths to which societies have gone to maintain control and the suffering that has been endured in the name of justice.